our fourth album is All That Is Over by Sprints. This was our poll winner. So thanks to everyone who voted. And yeah, it was my pick for the poll. So yeah, gonna do my last intro to an album here. Yeah, Sprints All That Is Over. So it doesn't seem too long ago that they kind of came out of the blocks with Letter to Self, beginning of 2024, which I think we were fairly united in, at least as an opening listen. The hype was unavoidable at the time, and it seems overly gracious of the effort, which actually grew on me a lot during last year, but I think it just put it on too high a pedestal to be listening to it for the first time, and based on what I was reading versus what I was hearing, it was never going to meet the expectations which the words were giving it. But it was a very, very strong debut album from the Dublin band, led by Karl Chubb, who has some German ancestry and sort of brought that into a bit of the lyricism of their debut effort. So yeah, not too long after that, they returned with their second album, and subsequently have sort of read, and it answers a few questions for me, that they replaced the guitarist from the first album to the second album, and that I think is one of the key things to note, at least from a instrumentation point of view with this record, because I feel one of the letdowns of the first record was that the riffs themselves were a bit generic. It didn't really do anything on that front. What they did do very well was atmosphere, and really creating something which was quite sort of claustrophobic and and dark. Whereas here, I really feel that the guitar work has really stepped up a notch with their new guitarist, and really, for me, this is kind of starting to meet that high praise which was showered on them with the first record. Yeah, I mean, I might be the one who's giving the biggest props for All That Is Over, but and I was quite surprised at how much I enjoyed this one. It maybe doesn't begin on the most amazing note. Abandon doesn't massively do it for me. To the Bone is where you get a good track, but it's, from Descartes onwards, for me it doesn't really let up, and I just love the lyric "I speak, therefore I understand," in kind of a takedown of many of our social commentators in the current climate. So I in one lyric, I think they've just, and probably it's probably going to be hard to beat this year for lyric of the year. We talked about with Maruja, what I think is the song of the year with Look Down on Us, but yeah, that one lyric I think encapsulates a lot of also the kind of points being made right now, which are very topical and sum up how probably a lot of us are feeling about the current climate. So yeah, I just think some of the themes and the lyrical work here is very strong. On Need, I find the guitar is quite indebted to era Vulgaris, era Queens of the Stone Age. It really, and that already tells you that they're going in a bit more of a different place with the guitar work on what they're doing here. And then other highlights, just in addition to Descartes, for me, are Beg, Pieces, Better, Coming Alive, Desire. I mean, those last four tracks for me really just, if they'd started on that point, then this could be an album I would consider a album of the year contender. As it is, I think this is an exceptionally strong follow-up to a very solid debut. And yeah, I just feel that they're really hitting their straps now, and and yeah, just sky seems to be the limit for this band, and I'm now falling into the trap of lavishing them with with praise. So maybe if you absorb enough of it, you end up reflecting it. but, but there we go. Really strong effort for me. So yeah, what did you make of All That Is Over? I'll go with you, Karl.
Yeah, I mean, I was very glad this landed on the slate this month, I think. Yeah, when the debut, as you say, when the debut came out, we all had the same feeling. It was great. Maybe not the revelation that the music press, certainly in January, probably because it was the first thing that they listened to that year, were baiting it out
Mm.
to me. But yeah, definitely had enough about them to show that they were, following the footsteps of, Fontaines DC, Murder Capital with like, what they were delivering. Um, and yeah, like you, Andrew, once the hype died down, managed to see them live. I did grow to really enjoy that record, and I think All That Is Over basically continues that strong start to their career. I think it does it maybe, although like you say, the guitar work does seem a step up. I think it doesn't necessarily push their sound forward massively. I think it's for me, it's a sophomore record that does feel more of the same. Um, but I think with it coming so soon after the debut, and obviously people still getting into them, I don't think that's a bad thing at this point in their career. And yeah, I'm with you. I think it's another strong effort. It's filled with that ferocious energy, that buzz of guitars that runs right through the record. Carla's, passionate, fierce vocals, really good pacing to the album as well. It starts off, quite ominously, I'd say, with Abandon, and then, like you say, with To the Bone, that's where it really kind of explodes. Um, in the back half of that track, that's really where it comes alive. Yeah, like you say, it's after that, it's off to the races. Descartes, Need, Bear Rage, just really like full throttle punk tracks. And then in the back half, Something's Gonna Happen. I'd say it's probably one of my favorites. Just really comes in and brings this like a second wind to the album. I think it comes along at the right point in the track list. And it's one of those with the anticipation of those guitars. Um, yeah, it just builds you back up just as you need it. And then yeah, right at the end, I'd say they save a couple of the best tracks for last. Better, I think, stands out here because it is the softest track on the record. Some really nice harmonies on that song with Carla, and I couldn't work out which of the vocalists, either Sam or Zach, I think it is, sort of playing off each other. Just yeah, really anthemic, really soaring. Um, and then yeah, Desire at the end, just wonderful. Got the Spanish guitars going on. Um, you can almost paint a picture in your head when you listen to that sort of people doing the tango as it plays out. I think when I was listening to it, I was picturing not quite the tango, but Pulp Fiction, or another Tarantino movie. Like I could see it soundtracking that. And yeah, the horns then come in, and then it just builds, and it culminates in this mighty eruption, and it's kind of like that. Yeah, that real jaw dropping finale, I think, to the record. So yeah, I'm with you, Andrew. I'm not sure how high I'm going to put it in my year end list, but for me right now, a pretty great second album, and I think pound for pound, yeah, edges the debut album for me as well.
Hmm. And I think as well, we've spoken about the British Isles being covered here, but this is incredibly rocky. We have a little bit of a respite with Kate Le Bon after these
Yeah.
5 albums, but yeah, it's a bit harsh on the ears. September was so good harshness for you, Kylie, with All That Is Over.
Yeah, I think you guys, came around more on the debut than I did, just I thought that was a very overhyped record, and, um, All That Is Over, the second record, I really enjoyed this, and I think, there is that guitar change, that helped out, but for me, I think they've done a really good job of, it's the 90s formula of quiet verses, loud choruses, and I can't resist that. And I think that brings a little more diversity to the record than their first one. And I'm funny enough, kind of when they have those moments that things slow down with Better is my favorite track on here because it's just something completely different from the rest of the album. And Desire, just the back half of this record is really great. It's it's when they're balls to the wall that um we've talked about this many times, but love Emil and the Sniffers, but a lot of the stuff that has come along with that, thinking back to a couple of months ago, like Lambrini Girls, um, when it's not them, I'm just kind of like, yeah, we've heard this a lot lately, and I think that's for me what holds this album back from being really good, which is probably, Spritz fans, that's what they're there for. So just taking a different approach to it. Um, when they let up, when they let the atmosphere kind of build, I think it's a greater success. And yeah, this, you know, I think rarely, the sophomore record is tough and to differentiate yourself and not repeat it. And I think they did a good job of exploring some new territory while, tying it to what the base of their sound is. So yeah, I was very happy with this record, very pleasantly surprised.
There we go. And I don't think it did arrive with the same level of hype. So lesson there.
They got the same reviews though. Like it's another critically acclaimed, you know.
Oh,
they're
maybe I didn't
loving
read
it.
them this time.
Well, we knew that they're probably hyping it up a bit.
Yeah, like,
Ahead,
we'll just knock that down. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.